what was it that about Muay Thai right at the start? I mean, age 7 or whatever you were, that attracted you to that rather than say MMA, which was what was predominantly going on in the gym around you?
You know what, man? I couldn't really tell you. You know, I was just slinging my legs all around the place at that time, and it's only when I started throwing elbows, so I thought, yeah, this is the one.
Welcome to another episode of the Science of Building Champions podcast, where I chat with top-level fighters and coaches and dive into their stories to discover what makes them champions. And today I have the honor to speak with Jonathan Haggerty, the 24-year-old, 3-time world champion, former one championship flyweight Muay Thai world champion, after beating none other than the legendary Sam A. So, it's great to have you join me today, Jonathan.
Thank you, mate. My pleasure.
And I really appreciate you, taking time out of your prep there, because you're in Singapore at the moment for your one championship fight against Taiki Naito, and you've just finished training for that, haven't you?
Yeah, just literally got back to my room now. But we're good to go.
And you were saying just before we sort of hit record there, you're kind of with the whole COVID thing as well. You're in sort of lockdown in between as well, so you are pushed back to your hotel room.
Yeah, we just literally rushed in and out, rushed to training, and rushed straight back upstairs. Just alienized. Straight back into your room. Get back in there.
Get back in it. We'll tell you when you can come out.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, so
just a knock on the door.
Is right? That's the way it works.
Yeah, even with the food, like knock on the door, you open the door, no one's there, but you just your food. Like,
yeah.
Did they run off?
Mystery delivery. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now you're no stranger to fast progression. I mean, you were like 17 or 18 fights in your pro career now?
Yeah, that's correct, mate.
And you've already taken on the best in the world. But I want to sort of rewind and go back to where you started with Muay Thai to kind of find out how you got into all of this. So were you like 7 years old at Team Underground, your dad's gym? Is that right?
Yeah. I used to just follow him around training every day. Like, he used to go training when he was young, and I used to go with him, and it just started from there, really.
And at your dad's gym there, it was MMA as well as Muay Thai, and was it other martial arts as well?
So back then it was mainly MMA. So that was the route I was going to go down. But then obviously fell in love with Muay Thai because I think one of my dad's mate's son was doing it, and they got me to do it, and just fell in love with it from there, man.
Yeah, and that's despite your dad really was an MMA fighter, wasn't he?
Yeah.
What did you start competing out of your dad's gym? Because I'm interested because you're currently fighting out of Knowlesy gym, aren't you? Predominantly with Christian Knowles.
And all three, mate. All three predominantly. So Kettle's gym, Team Underground, and Knowlesy Academy. But I started at Team Underground. I was doing a few light contact contests, and I didn't really enjoy that. Got disqualified for hitting too hard. But then obviously I went down to Kettle's gym, I think when I was about 12, 13. Carried on from there, went to Knowlesy's when I was about 17, 18. I'd say about 16 when I went to Knowlesy's. And then, my career just boosted off, man.
And how does that work then, sort of passing between 3 different gyms there in terms of, fight prep? Because it doesn't work with all coaches like that, does it? Some get very kind of territorial.
Yeah, nah, it's never like that. I've always said it from the start. I'm very loyal, but that is one of the main things. You've got to be loyal. So I've picked my team wisely. So I'll go. So Team Underground is the gym I go to. That's my gym. Yeah, Team Underground MMA. That's the gym I go to at night. And Knowlesy's and Kettle's is like the morning training sessions. So I go there 3 times in the morning, and Kettle's twice in the morning.
Gotcha.
So we're just splitting it up.
Yeah.
And it's different sort of pad sessions, One's more like a sparring session, reactions, and one's more like constantly drilling, game plan-ish.
Yeah, right. Understood.
Yeah.
And it keeps you as a full-time pro fighter, gives you the opportunities to train as often as you need to, I guess.
Yeah, 100%.
And you mentioned that you fell in love with Muay Thai. What was it about Muay Thai right at the start? I mean, age 7 or whatever you were, that attracted you to that rather than say MMA, which was what was predominantly going on in the gym around you?
You know what, man? I couldn't really tell you. You know, I was just slinging my legs all around the place at that time, and it's not. It's only when I started throwing elbows, so I thought, yeah, this is the one. But I remember briefly I had to lie about my age to fight A class, but
Yeah.
I think I skipped from one C class fight to one B class and then straight into A class. So I was a lover of the elbows.
Yeah, and you stuck with that, haven't you, to full effect?
100%.
Isn't it that, I mean, I guess, you know, going back to one championship now, your sort of debut fight in there, that's still kind of like a highlight that keeps popping up on my news feed all the time.
Yeah,
That
that's
elbow.
crazy. That's gonna be with me since the day I go, man.
Yeah, it's definitely a keeper. But,
Definitely.
you know, it sounds like you've made like rapid progression in terms of, you know, relatively few pro fights, and then the caliber that you're fighting at, the people that you're fighting and beating. But you started at 7 years old, so there's a lot of kind of training background that's gone into that.
Yeah.
So what is it that keeps you training and fighting after all this time, despite, you know, the struggles that you do have, especially as an adult pro fighter now?
I think what makes it easier is where I've been noticed. Like I've really been progressing through the rankings, and I've been noticed and gone up into promotions that people dream of being in, and just going higher and higher. I'm noticing myself like this is obviously what I'm made to do. This is what I want to do, and this is where I am. This is where I'm meant to be. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
At the
Yeah.
top.
Yeah.
And
And
just keep going, man, until I get my belt back, till I collect all them belts.
and that's the objective, is it, to obviously get back that title, but also just to keep collecting other championship titles?
Yeah, just be the face of the fight game.
Right. Yeah. Gotcha. And what do you think actually makes a champion? You know, what do you think are the sort of characteristics and traits that a champion must have?
One of the main things is always open-minded and always willing to keep learning. You can never stop learning, and pushing higher, and having a team around you as well that really believes in you. Not someone that's just always saying yeah and agreeing with you. You need someone to tell you no sometimes. This ain't right. This is what you need to do. And championship mindset. Like for instance, when they tell you got to fight Rodtang, in your head you don't say no. Like, you just say yeah, let's do it. From the get go, you just say yeah, that's what I want to do. That's how I'm going to beat him. That's the championship mindset you need to have.
Yeah. And you mentioned Rodtang there. I mean, you had 2 cracks at him as well, and I'm kind of guessing that's probably one of your biggest challenges you've had to date. Would you agree with
Yeah,
that? One of your biggest sort of
yeah.
obstacles?
Well, I'd say the first fight was I went back to my corner after the first 2 rounds, and I thought it was going to be a walk in the park. And as the fight progressed, I thought I was winning. I won, but then the second one, it just proved that he stepped it up a level, and that was the step. That was a step higher for me. That one.
Yeah. And what do you feel
Yeah.
like you've learned from that as well, though, that you're perhaps taken into your future fights now?
Just the main thing and the only thing is just don't get emotional. Don't get caught in your emotions. Don't get angry. Don't let the mind games kick in. That's it, man. Just do your thing.
And when you say mind games there as well, Jonathan, are you referring to stuff that goes on before the fight, or predominantly the stuff that goes on in the fight as well?
Nah, never the stuff before the fight. Like before the fight, I'm always switched on. 100% always switched on. But there's little things like when I was in there, the last fight with Rodtang, I was scoring, and I was grabbing him, and I wanted to just score, and clinch. And then when I was in there, I was thinking to myself, people don't want to see this. Why are you grabbing him? Don't grab him. So don't look scared. Like, don't care about that. Don't care about what people think. Like, just do what you have to do to win. And I fell into a wall with him, which I wasn't meant to do. I'm not
Right.
sure my trainer was happy with me.
But there were lots of conversations obviously going on in your head as you're fighting as well, that you were kind of discussing with yourself there about what you should be doing.
Yeah, of course. One of them was like just clinching, but then one of them, that shoulder was saying clinch, that shoulder was saying don't clinch. People think you're scared.
Interesting. Yeah, yeah. Where do you think that comes from? You thinking that the clinch makes you look scared though?
I was thinking more of like the crowd, like they want to see a war. You see with the One Championship sort of fan base and that Rodtang sort of adrenaline rush powerhouse, they want to see that, get excited. And I thought, all right, if he wants to do that, I can do that. And then just went out the window, to be fair.
Yeah. It's interesting, isn't it? And, you know, you haven't had easy fights anyway, but it's the challenging fights that do make you grow as a fighter though, aren't they? That change what you do, take you up another level, really.
100%, I agree with that. That's every hard fight I've had, I've just gone higher and higher on levels.
Yeah. And I mean, your early fights, looking back through those, you were winning those normally by some sort of stoppage, weren't you? And it wasn't until you kind of got further up the ranking there that
started thinking, oh, these people ain't getting knocked out now. I can't knock everyone out.
No, it doesn't last forever. It's kind of, you're surprised to begin with, but then, it's all of those fights really should be trying to match you at your level. And I guess if you're stopping everyone by TKO, KO, whatever, then you still haven't found your level yet, have you?
Yeah, exactly.
And that's something I kind of definitely try to get across to some of the fighters, is that, you know, if you're not losing some fights, then you're not actually fighting at the right level. So it's don't worry about those losses. It's more about how you fight, isn't it? How you perform.
It's very true. It's in how you bounce back. You know, some of my losses have been my main heights, and they've pushed me a lot higher than all the wins I've had.
Become springboards.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How has your fight preparation changed since, you know, you first started as a fighter until now?
So when I first started, it was pretty like once a day training, nothing too intense. But now, as I'm in the One Championship, and even prior to that, I became more independent. Training, taking myself to training instead of relying on my father, my mum. You know, getting a man now. So just putting 100% in. Obviously, this is my job, so I've got the time for it, and I can train 3 times a day if I want. Rest. So I'm very thankful that I haven't got to be waking up at 6 a.m. to go to work, and I'm doing what I love.
And so yeah, that's that sort of evolution from more of a almost a part-time hobbyist type of setup to now this is a full-time thing. You mentioned like training 3 times a day there. How do you manage that in terms of like recovery and nutrition and stuff like that to make sure that each one of those sessions is productive for you?
I've always had the same nutritionist, Kate Shilling. She's amazing, and what I've been doing it for years, man. So my body knows what to do. My body knows. So I'll be training in the morning, whether it's swimming in the afternoon, and then training at night. My body's ready for it all. And like I said, without having to wake up and go to work, I can sleep when I want. I can rest when I want. So yeah, everything just works together, really.
Do you find you often take naps during the daytime then between training sessions?
You know what? What's interesting? The last 2 fights, I was napping every day between sessions. But see, leading up to this fight, I was fueled. I wasn't tired. I didn't need to sleep. I was ready for training. I was alert. I've been training for 10 weeks for this fight, and this is the best I've ever felt. So this fight I should be alive.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see. And do you find with your training there, I guess each camp, there's probably subtle differences, things that you'll perhaps experiment with, try a bit more of this, a bit less of that. Has this last camp been different? Is there anything sort of notably
Yeah.
changed?
So things have changed really because of lockdown, obviously. And I haven't been able to get my swimming in, but that's not a problem. I've just been going hill sprints. I've changed it up. I've adapted. And sometimes a few fight camps, I've been doing strength and conditioning. This fight camp, I haven't really been doing strength and conditioning. I've just been doing body weights, body exercises, burpees, etc., pull-ups, no weights. And I think that's why I'm so lean right now. And I was on weight as soon as I landed in Singapore. I was underweight, to be fair.
Right.
The main thing is just adapt, adapt. You just never know what's around the corner.
I was chatting to Liam Harrison actually on the last podcast, and he was talking about the one championship kind of weighing in procedure with all the hydration tests and everything as well. And he said he really liked it because it didn't mean he had to mess himself about too much.
Yeah. This one's been the easiest so far. I'd say it's been the easiest. Well, I wouldn't even say a weight cut really, but it's really easy.
Yeah. You're just going in there what you are, aren't you? You're just making sure your body composition's good, not too much fat on you. You've got to be hydrated
exactly
anyway.
Nice and lean.
How many weeks have you typically looked at for this camp? Would you class in your head how many weeks you've been specifically working for this fight?
I'd say 10 weeks, man. 10 weeks I've been. So obviously the first 2 weeks is getting that the puppy fat off. The next few weeks is getting a bit more weight and just fitness and just getting used to hitting the pads again, loosening up, stretching up. And then, the last 4 weeks is when we go for it. The last 5 weeks, go for it.
Yeah. And there hasn't been any, I know previously in the past you've had like shin splints you've been dealing with and things like that, haven't you, to kind of manage in the fight camp as well. But nothing that you've needed to adjust for this time.
It's crazy. Like the way I train, like, I think to myself, am I even human? Why is my body not hurting? Like, why have I not got an injury? But everything's perfect. Everything's perfect. Left leg's there, right elbow's there, headbutt's there.
If you could, with everything you've learned now, if you could kind of go back in time and to when you were starting out with your Muay Thai training in particular, thinking about competing, would there be anything you'd change to your approach, and what would that be?
Yeah, my dad used to always say it to me, you need to get into wrestling and get into jiu-jitsu. Like, even if you're not fighting or competing in it, just do it. Maybe if it's once a week, like, just get used to it. And I wish I'd done that now, so it would be a lot easier to adapt over to MMA when I want to.
Okay, yeah. So that sort of transition to perhaps doing some MMA is something that's in your head there as well, on the back burner.
100%.
Right, gotcha. Yeah. And it's also interesting actually that, talking about doing other disciplines there, wrestling, that kind of aspect to your training, it's something else that loads your body in a different way as well, but it does still kind of carry over. So in terms of like not overtraining, not getting overuse injuries and stuff like that, actually incorporating some of these other things that still contribute and give you qualities that you need to fight, but without just chucking more volume on top of what you're already doing a lot of purely Muay Thai, that can build up to that level where you are breaking your body. It's useful to have those little parallel tracks or something just to go and spend a little bit more time on that keeps the plate spinning, but without burning you out.
Yeah, of course. But as soon as I hit fight camp for Thai boxing, I will obviously stop all that sort of training because I just don't want no injury. So while I'm ticking over and I haven't got no fights, I do have a coach down at Team Underground, Steve Cook. He sort of goes through things with me. So just that's it. Just ticking over, really. Learn as the days go by.
Yeah, and that, like you kind of mentioned that at the beginning as well, kind of being open to learning and changing what you're doing and upgrading things all the time based on what your new experience is. That's a really important part of being the best you can be, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly that, mate. Exactly that. That is what makes champions, like we said.
And finally, just to if you were to give one piece of advice to someone who wants to be as great as they can be, what would that be?
Just aim for the top. Aim for the top. Just think you're the best. Like, don't think there's anyone better than you. Um, know where you want to be. Set yourself a goal. Like me, for instance, I set myself a goal, the one championship world title. I told myself I'd be the champion in 2017. I'd be the champion. And then 2020, was it 2020? 2019, I became the champion. Just set yourself a goal, get your head down. Yeah, that's it, man. Just get your head down.
Yeah, and do that surrounded by a team like you've got, multiple teams really, all kind of boosting you up.
Sorry, I forgot to mention. Make sure that's one of the main things as well. Just stick to loyalty. Just stick to one team. You know, just don't go bouncing about. Like, find someone that's got your best interests and stick with them. You know, they push you a long way.
Yeah, and you know, it's really great to hear as well that you've got kind of open-minded teammates around you as well that are willing to kind of share you around, because they realize they can all contribute different things to your progression and not feeling threatened by each other.
Of course, they've got a good relationship as well. They've built up, and that's it, man. That's what makes a champion. That's what made me a champion. So I'm very thankful.
That's awesome, Jonathan. Thank you. Thanks for taking the time really to have a chat there. You know, you're busy there in Singapore, and you know, all the very best with it's the main event, isn't it, in one championship for this show against Taiki Naito. So yeah, all the very best with that, mate.
Thank you, mate. Thanks a lot.
You can find out more about Jonathan and his exploits at @Haggerty_ on Instagram, along with Team Underground at Team Underground MMA _official, Kettle's Gym at Kettle's Gym 1, and the Nosey Academy at the Nosey Academy. And of course, catch up on the latest on Jonathan's one championship fight against Taiki Naito at One Championship on Instagram too. And you'll find links to these with this episode. And if you found this valuable, please like, subscribe, and share with someone else it could help too. And I'll catch you next time.